makeup friends. I am wildly late in posting my end of June update to my Project Pan, but here we are, mid-February. Wow. Oh my god. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you're new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and today we're going to be talking about the progress that I made on my Project Pan items in the month of June, which marks the halfway point of this project. I can't believe I've stuck with it this long. I truly can't, but I have to say, I'm starting to get fatigued. So, I'm going to be explaining a little bit of a twist, I guess. I don't really know what word to put there. Let's call it a twist for lack of anything better. It'll make more sense in a few moments. So, okay, Project Pan items first. Now, if you haven't seen all of the progress updates throughout the year, if you're curious in them, I will post the playlist up here so you can find the very beginning video and all of the updates from there. So, I'm happy with where these items are at. We'll just do a nice blanket statement right there. I haven't finished anything. There are definitely some items that I will be very glad to be finished with and just not have to look at again. So let's just dive into it. I guess if I'm looking at the items in front of me, there's a couple that are kind of exciting for me. So let's talk about perfume samples. If you recall, I dropped one. I was working on finishing up 20 different little samples like this. In the month of May, I finished, I believe it was 6 of them. In the month of June, bleeding into July, since I'm so late in posting this, I have finished an additional 8 of them. There are a couple standouts in here. This one here in particular. So this is from Miu Miu. This is L'Eau Bleue. Forgive my French accent. I freaking love this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I have just talked myself in circles. Wow. Trying to describe the scent of this perfume, which I knew I should have written down because I knew I was going to forget. It's like, it's sweet without being cloying or too heavy, sometimes sweet. While I more associate that kind of scent with summer, sometimes like with the heat and humidity and sweating and then a sweet perfume on top, it just ends up smelling like rotting garbage, honestly. That is not the case here. This is one that I would absolutely purchase in a larger size, but I can't find it anywhere. I don't even think Sephora carries Miu Miu. I've looked at Shoppers Drug Mart, they're all sold out. I've looked at the Bay, they're all sold out. I might have to go to like Amazon or something and see if I can find it, but I wish I could describe it better. It sort of reminds me of like Juicy Couture, but not quite as sweet as that. There's a little bit more of like a floral note to it. It smells very Lily of the Valley-ish. I think that's the floral note that I would put on here without looking it up and verifying. And I happen to love Lily of the Valley. There's just a hint of like a spiciness to it that just really grounds it. That's as good as you're gonna get for me on scent description. But at any rate, that was the standout. There weren't any in here that I really disliked, although Tory Burch, I don't know what the scent is. It just says Tory Burch on it and has an orange lid. This one was very strong and it smelled like perfume. Does that make sense if I say that? Like it just smelled artificial and heavy and chemically, but in a somewhat pleasant way. Oddly enough, I'm not quite sure how they struck that balance. It's not terrible, but it's very heavy, so just be aware on that one. The rest of them are kind of middle of the pack, so I'm not going to spend any more time than I've already devoted to this because, oh my goodness, fragrance is not my strong suit. Okay, so let's move into somewhat more comfortable territory for me then, and that would be just the makeup side of things. So let's get rid of these guys first, as well as the foundation stick, if only because they're really easy to talk about because I just have this little written down chart on them. So here we go. If you've watched these videos before, this should be familiar to you. This is the lip pencil that I've been working on, and this is the eyeliner pencil. So this one is from Makeup Geek. You can see, again, just fairly consistent, just chipping away at it. And then this one is from Gerard Cosmetics, and again, just chipping away at it. So I will say I'm getting quite excited in that it's getting harder to sharpen both of them, particularly the lip pencil. So I find that that's a good like indicator that the end is in sight, because you can't use it all the way into absolute nothingness. And it's getting to the point where like I'm still capable of doing it, but there's not much more left, like a few months at any rate, and then it's going to be really difficult to actually twist it and turn it around in there. As well, the lettering along the side is now fully covered by the lid, so these are all sort of positive indicators to me that we're definitely moving in the right direction. This one a little bit less so, but I didn't expect as much progress on an eye pencil as I do with a lip pencil, so there we have that. Then we'll move on to the other page, and this one marks the complexion stick that I've been using as foundation from Merit Beauty, as well as the eyebrow pencil from from e.l.f. And so we can see here, I wasn't sure just how much progress I'd be able to make on that complexion stick. And it doesn't really look like an awful lot, but I also don't obviously use a ton of it. If I really wanted to really build up the coverage and really just go in and cover my face, sure, I'm gonna get through it a lot faster, but my skin's gonna look atrocious on a day-to-day basis. So little goes a long way with this. I just do a few little tiger stripes, blend it out, good to go. I'm happy with the progress. I'll be happy to be done with it. It's not bad. It's what I'm wearing right now. I don't dislike it. It's just stick foundations aren't really my jam. We'll put it that way. Now for the eyebrow pencil. Oh my God. I had really, really wanted to finish it, to be honest. I mean, that's not a realistic goal, but such a small amount of progress. It totally makes sense because, I mean, the eyebrows take up 2% of my entire face area, so it's not like I'm using it to draw in a large space. Also, I have fairly full brows, so I don't have to just create brows from virtually nothing, so it's really just filling them in a bit, but I just don't like pencils. I just don't, particularly this one. I don't know, maybe it's the rounded tip on it. There's just a lack of precision. I find that there's always little eyebrow hairs trapped in the tip of it after I've used it because I have to sort of tug it through my brows, and there's still quite a bit left. I mean, looking at how much progress I made within a month, there's at least a few more months on this, and that does not excite me. I'm just not feeling the love on this one. We'll put it that way. But I'll keep chugging away at it because there isn't that much left, but definitely not repurchasing it. Then that brings us to, let's just jump around. Let's talk about eyeshadow palettes. So this is exciting. I had to go through the Tartelette in Bloom palette and repress that cream shadow because I was having such a hard time picking it up on my brush. I use this shadow basically every day to set my eyelid primer, so it is getting a lot of use. It's a very, very thin layer in there now, but it's exciting because that means it's going to be gone relatively quickly. I did film myself repressing it. It's nothing particularly exciting, but there you go. The rest of it, I'm excited about this. It's not as exciting as when you first hit pan or when you completely finish something, obviously, but I can see those pan sizes growing. I can definitely see that dip growing in this more coppery shade right here. And it's now getting to the point where I'm starting to think when is the actual cutoff for this palette? When am I actually going to think, yeah, it's done, take it out of the project, we're good? I can't fully commit to it yet because it's going to depend how I feel at that moment, but I'm thinking if I finish this cream shadow, when I finish this cream shadow, and if I hit pan, when I hit pan on this one, which was never an original goal of mine, but it is now, when I hit pan on there and finish this one, that is when I'm going to really take a look at it and decide if I'm going to call it quits at that point. That's about as good of a commitment as I can make. So happy with the progress, but I am getting fatigued from using the same palette over and over again. I do love that palette. I truly do. I've said that through every update that I've done in this project, but I'm ready for something a little bit different. We'll put that out there. Anyways, the other palette that I have in here, I'm just focusing on the one shadow, trying to use it up. I did put it on pause for a little while. I was focusing on the shimmer shadows in the Tarte palette. I have used it a couple of times since then, but there's really not any noticeable difference in this pan yet. But I still love the shadow so much. I think that might actually be part of my problem, is that I love it so much that I don't want it to end. But that's kind of a silly reason not to use something, because then you're still not using it regardless. So I'm gonna center back on it. But again, when I talk about this twist, it's not a twist, but when I talk about where I'm sort of transitioning to, it's gonna make sense, I hope. Anyways, you'll see what I'm trying to do in terms of staving off the boredom. Okay, anyways, let's talk about Charlotte Tilbury, because I'm mystified. I am mystified on this one. So you can see that from month to month to month, it's fairly, especially in this region here, fairly steady. And then all of a sudden there's like this huge gap down here. All I can say is that at one point I stored it upside down, just for shits and giggles. I don't know why I did that, but I did it. Stored it upside down and then corrected it. And then I was able to see much more clearly where that line was, and it was significantly lower than where I had thought it was. So either there's a lot of product trapped up at the top, which there absolutely isn't, or it just sort of redistributed itself more evenly. Regardless, I'm not going to complain. Even in looking at it right now, because I made this mark about 2 weeks ago at this point, by the time I'm filming, I can see that it's further down even still. It's going to be done soon. I am kind of getting bored of it, if I'm being perfectly honest. I have a bunch of other primers. I'm looking forward to busting some of them out. I enjoyed it. I just don't think I'm going to repurchase it at this point. All right, so then we have the finishing powder. Let's talk about that. We're just jumping all over the place here. And this is another one that the progress is exciting at this point, because with this one, like from month to month to month for the first few months, couldn't really see the difference. And I know that a lot of people had made the suggestion of getting a kitchen scale so that you could really see what the gram weight difference would be. I just didn't feel compelled to go out and spend money on a kitchen scale, because I used to have one, but clearly I decluttered it at some point. So I just was kind of like going on site, and I really couldn't see much of a difference. But now I really am starting to be able to see that difference. Like, there's not a lot of like full-sized balls in there. They're very, very small, or they're cracking, or they're just like little chunky flakes of them. So the progress is definitely there. I still think that this is going to be like the majority of the remainder of the year before it's finished, but hopefully it'll prove me wrong. Maybe it'll go by faster than I think now that it is so broken down, but we shall see. And then finally, we have the highlighter from ColourPop. This is Flexitarian. And again, I am just chugging away on this one. I think it is such a beautiful highlighter. You can really like mute it out by like adding powder on top of it. I use that finishing powder to just sort of soften all the edges, or you can go balls to the wall with this. So basically whatever kind of highlighter intensity you like, you can achieve it with this. It's just going to take a little bit of effort if you want to tone it down. If you like a blinding highlight, this is your girl. You're not going to have to work hard at all. Just swipe it on. You're good to go. They will see you from space. So that then brings us to this twist that I've been alluding to, because I've been looking at this and thinking, okay, I'm getting down there on some items. What am I going to do? Am I going to bring more stuff in? If I finish up that foundation, am I going to bring in another foundation? The perfumes, once they're done, am I going to bring something else in? And I don't want to. I don't want to bring anything else in as a dedicated project pan item right now. Like I said, I'm just starting to get those first feelings of like, not quite resentment, we're not there yet, but just like the boredom is starting to set in. I'm starting to like feel a little bit more creatively minded. I want to play with a little bit of color again, but I feel a little bit restrained by this because I'm trying to make the progress, like the best progress I can. So how am I going to do this? So these are the project pan items. They just live in that little basket there. And then I now have a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, who the hell knows. I now have a separate makeup basket. We'll put it that way. I, at this point, am envisioning like bi-weekly, but I don't want to put any rules on it. I just want to gather the items and use them until I just don't feel like using them anymore, and then I'll rotate them out. So what I did with this, I just kind of went through my entire collection and just selected something from every category, either things that I haven't used in a while or things that I want to get more use out of, things that are almost done, so trying to finish them off, stuff like that. So I thought I would just quickly walk through the items here that are basically going to complement the Project Pan items. And then I think at this point, this is going to be the only sort of 2-for-1 kind of video. I'm going to separate them out. So monthly Project Pan videos will continue. Because I did all the markings on this at the end of June, I feel like I can still do one at the end of July and we're still going to see progress, hopefully. So it's not like it's just a 2-week period. It will be the full 4 weeks. And then going forward, whenever I feel like switching these out, I'll film it at that point and share it with you. So it's not going to be on like a regimented schedule. I think we've all established that schedules just don't work for me. I have the best of intentions every time I set a schedule and then just shit gets in the way. That's just the way it goes. Anyways, let's go through these items really quickly. I picked a lip balm. This one is from Laneige, I believe. Yes, this is the Lip Treatment Balm. It has like a coconutty-ish, like a pina colada adjacent kind of scent to it. I actually really like it. I like the packaging as well. It does have like the little spatula thing housed right in the lid. I don't often use it, but as it gets deeper, I suspect I'll be reaching for that more and more often. So I just wanted to pick a lip balm to work on. So there it is. And then I did pull out another primer to go with the Charlotte Tilbury one. This one is from Annabelle, which is a Canadian brand. It's the Refreshing Perfecting Primer. There's very little left in this, but it does have a similar sort of finish on the skin to the Charlotte Tilbury, so I figured I could just sort of mash them together or use one over the other and just kind of rotate through them. They're both getting use, but it gives me a little bit of a mental break from only using the Charlotte Tilbury one. And then we have foundation. So obviously I do have the Merit complexion stick that I'm working on in the project, but I thought if there's a day where I just want to use a non-stick foundation, I'm gonna reach for this one at this point. This is the Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation from Essence. There was really no rhyme or reason to selecting this one over any of the other foundations that I have. I happen to really like this one, and I just wanted something that was hydrating and something that still had a really pretty and very natural looking finish on the skin. It's called Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation. It checks all the boxes. It wears beautifully. It's a fantastic product from the drugstore, so I've added it in. And then moving on to concealer, I couldn't choose just one, so I selected two. One of them is from The Ordinary. This is the concealer that I'm wearing today. This is the High Coverage Concealer. I have it in, what is the shade on this? Oh my God, where is the shade name on this? I don't know, the sticker came off. I have no idea. It's like you know what? I can figure this out because it's the same as the foundations that I have from them. It is 1.2 YG. That's why I can't remember it. It's just a series of numbers and letters. Anyways, picked that one. And also picked the Boing Concealer, freaking hate that name, but anyways, the Boing Cakeless Concealer from Benefit in the shade number 3. I actually really like this concealer, and in fact, I lied. This is not the concealer I have on today. It's the concealer I had on yesterday, but you don't care because you couldn't see me yesterday. This is the one that I have on today, the Boing Concealer. I think it's really cute, the little eraser, whatever design, I guess. It's really cute. Erase the dark circles. I like the concealer. I don't like the name. Really like the concealer. There's nothing super like fancy about it, but doesn't dry out under my eyes. It does offer amazing coverage. It wears really well throughout the day without getting cakey or just like creasing up underneath and all the little fine lines that I have under there. So both of these are great options. So I wanted to have the two to rotate between. So there we have them. So then let's talk about some powder products. So I did want to have a setting powder. I use the Guerlain Meteorites only as a finishing powder, but for actually setting my foundation. This week I'm going to be working on the LYS. I just said this week, but again, open-ended time period. This is the Triple Fix Translucent Setting Powder, and she's got a big old spot of pan on her. So I wanted to keep working away on this one, expand that, see just how much I can use before I get thoroughly bored of it. So that was my reasoning for picking this one. And then I have some cheek products. So from Kaleidos here, I don't have a shade name on here because it doesn't have one at all. Like there's no sticker on here at all, but it's one of their blushes, except I can use it as a bronzer. So this is the bronzer that I'm wearing today. I really like the formula of these blushes. I have a few of them. I have the whole collection. They were kind enough to send them to me, but I really do like the formula on here. They're not too powdery. They blend really nicely. They have good pigmentation without being so far over the top that they're hard to work with. Really, really enjoy these. There's some very unique colors in there, including like a more purpley kind of blush, which is actually surprisingly flattering. I really didn't think it would be. So regardless, I wanted to get some use out of at least one of them. So I picked this one for bronzer. And then for blush, I brought out my Lunar Beauty Cheek Palette. This is the Moon Prism Blush Palette. And this was just, I was going through my drawers and realized like I never reach for my cheek palettes. Like I just never. And there are some that I love, like this one. I love this cheek palette. I think these powders are beautiful. They're an excellent selection of shades, at least for my skin tone. I think you'd have some issues if you were deeper, although there are a couple of options. Today I'm wearing this one mixed with this one, and I just love these. So I figured rather than being at the bottom of the drawer where I never see it and therefore never think about it, let's put it in this basket and show it some love. I have not chosen a separate highlighter because I'm just so very happy still using Flexitarian, so I don't feel like I need to have any other choices with that at this point. And then for setting spray, I picked this one. This is the Professional Super Setter from Benefit. There's really not that much left in this one, but I have ordered a backup. Shoppers Drug Mart, if you're not familiar, they're a drugstore here in Canada, but they have the best points reward system. So I just cashed in 200,000 points for $300 off of an order. So I picked up one of these along with a couple of other things, but mostly spent it on my daughter. So next, I'm feeling a little frantic for absolutely no reason, but okay. In the project pan, we have the eyebrow pencil. I need more hold than I need filling in of my brows. So this one's gonna come in as sort of a 1-2 punch. This is the Control Freak from NYX. It's just a clear brow gel. It's got a rather like aggressively large wand on it, but it's workable, it's clear, so it's not like a high risk situation. If this was tinted, there's absolutely no way I would use something with a brow, like with a bristle thing that big for brows, but it gets the job done. It holds my brows in place without being crunchy or too stiff on the brows. So I use this in conjunction with the other and I feel good about my brows, I guess. Okay, eyeshadow base. Oh no, wait, there was another powder. So under my eyes, I have been using this one for quite some time and I want to keep using it because there's really not that much product left. This is from Huda Beauty. It's the Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder in Pound Cake. It's perfect for under the eyes. This is one that I think I am going to pick up. They do have like a mini size of it, obviously bigger than this, but smaller than the full size. I think I'm gonna pick that up because I just really, really like this for setting my concealer. And then moving on from there for eyelid primer, I picked this one here from Sigma. This is the eyeshadow base primer in the shade Persuade. It is just like a stick primer here. I actually really like the formula of it. This color does not really work all that well for me. I've used it today, I can make it work, but if I had my choice, I'd pick something with a little bit more of a yellower base. This reminds me very much of Painterly from MAC, whereas I am more of a soft ochre kind of girl, that it's just more flattering to my skin tone. This was the only shade they had available, and I wanted to try this formula, and it's not so far off that I can't make it work, but not my favorite. But I haven't used this in a while, so I thought I'd bust it out and show it some love. And then Eyeshadow itself, we have the two palettes in the project, but I also brought out this guy here from Victoria Beckham. This is the Lid Luster in the shade Blonde. That's what I have all over my lids today. It's just a little potted single here. I just basically wanted to have another option to go for without bringing in a bunch of different palettes or anything like that. Eventually, maybe I will bring in another more colorful palette so that I can just play and create using all of these palettes in conjunction with each other. But for this very first foray into the makeup basket, I thought, let's just go for a single. I don't have like a creamy kind of shade that's a metallic finish in the Tartelette in Bloom palette anymore. I finished that one off. The other day I used Flexitarian all over my lid and it was just so intense that it looked weird, whereas this one I find is a little bit more toned down. It still brings that brightness, it still brings the lightness in tone without being blinding on the lid. It just looked really weird wearing Flexitarian all over my lid. So that's why I brought in the Victoria Beckham one. And then mascara by Beauty Upswing. I am devastated that they are closing. I like their lip products, but their mascara is the tits. It is just perfect mascara in my opinion. I bought two full-size backups, but I do have this little mini guy, so I'm working on that and loving every moment of wearing it. I truly, truly love this mascara. I had this like ongoing internal debate where I'm like, buy all of the backups. They're only gonna last so long, right? So I want to buy like 5 more and hoard them jealously. However, realistically, it takes me months to get through a full-size mascara, and they're gonna sit there and languish and go bad, and then I'm throwing them out, and then I've deprived somebody else of the privilege of having it while also wasting money at the same time. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself so that I don't go out and just continually add to cart. So at any rate, we're gonna enjoy the mini size, and then I do have some lip products. Now, lip products I find very, very hard to commit to in advance because it really depends on where I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. Like there's so many variables involved in selecting a lipstick shade. So what I did, the approach I took this time was to just look at what are the newest lipsticks in my collection. Let's throw them in there. If I use them, I use them. If I don't, whatever. One of them I've used because this is what I'm wearing today. This is the one from Gwen Stefani. It's called Give, but like why in the fuck is it an X? I don't know. It bothers me to no end the way she spelled her brand name. Bothers me. It is in the shade Original Recipe, and it's the liquid lipstick. It's quite comfortable. I can feel it like starting to pill a little bit on the very inner portion of my lids just from talking so much while filming, but overall it's not sticky, it doesn't make my lips feel tight, it's not cracking, it smells effing delightful if you like buttercream. It's like smearing icing straight up on your lips. I'm a fan. I like it. I just drives me crazy that X, regardless. This one here I have used in a previous video. This is from Fenty Beauty, one of the new lip stains in the shade My Type. And I can say it is very comfortable. It goes on sort of like a gloss lip oil hybrid kind of deal, but it does have some serious staining power. I will not tell you that it will last all day, really depends on what you're doing, but the stain will last a good amount of time. It will not survive chicken wings. I can say that from experience. But then again, what will? But it's comfortable. I like it. The like slippery feel to it does dissipate fairly quickly, but then you are left with a stain. You just don't feel anything on your lips. Okay, and then finally, I picked up one of the new lipsticks from Rare Beauty. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. I love the packaging on this. You do that, and then it comes out. And then you do this, and it doesn't come out. So for somebody like me who carries their purse or their lipstick in their purse every day, it's not. Okay, well, if you shake it aggressively, it'll come out. But for the most part, it's not going to. Anyways, the shade that I picked up is Worthy, and it is a My Lips But Better kind of neutral. It is so beautiful. These do have a matte finish, but they're not dry. They don't tug on the lips. They don't pill up as you're talking. They just, it's so beautiful. I want to get some more shades in this because I really, really like the formula on it. So that rounds out the makeup basket that I have selected for the next X number of days. We shall see when I start getting bored of this. Because I have some items in here that are so close to being finished, I suspect rather strongly that I'll be able to like knuckle down on those ones until they're done. But I feel excited to like be bringing in some other items from my collection to round out the project and just sort of expand the horizons a little bit. But I really like this setup. I've been doing this for a couple of days now with the 2 baskets because it's not overwhelming. I do have some selection and choice in there, but I don't have all the choice. Like, I'm not opening up the concealer drawer and looking at 20 different options. I'm not trying to decide which palette out of 175 I want to choose from. So this is the kind of speed at which I operate. So I'm liking this. Anyways, with all of that said, I am going to wrap the video up here. I feel like I've been talking for absolutely ages, but there we have it. It's late, but better late than never. So there we have it. Let me know any suggestions / requests on how to handle these 2 going forward, or at least the makeup basket. If you like seeing the selection process, if you don't really care, if I should just rotate them, let me know your preference. I love hearing your feedback and critical, whatever it's called, positive criticism, what the fuck, constructive criticism. There, oh my God, okay. Yeah, you know what? There's no saving that one. I like hearing constructive criticism from you guys. I like your suggestions. I really like hearing from you because it just helps me help you, and that's what it's all about. Okay, with all that said, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed this frenetic attempt at a video, please give the video a like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I ask that you consider doing so. But for now, I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.